It says I'm live. Alright, so the title of this video is a quote from Nick Reiner. Reiner, I'm sorry. I can do anything in California and get away with it. Hmm. One would not make that statement. Well, maybe they would if they never, tested it out. But I have a feeling that, it was tested out quite a few times when it came to Nick Reiner. See, now I have questions. Okay? So Nick has been doing drugs since he was 13 years old. He's been in rehab. I keep hearing different numbers, but anywhere between 17 and 19 times between the ages of 15 and 22. Okay? 10 years ago was 2025. He was 22 when he allegedly was sober and he did that movie with his dad. By 2018, he was back using drugs again, and that would put him at the age of 24. 8 years later, here we are today, and we know what happened uh, 7 days ago. So I have questions like, huh, as much as he's been drugging, especially when he was a teenager, because even if you don't do drugs, you're real stupid when you're a teenager, right? Come on, admit it. It's the truth. You're just stupid. So imagine doing meth, heroin, and coke as a teenager. You are triply, exponentially stupid. So you can't tell me that Nick Reiner, with a heroin, meth, and cocaine addiction, never found him in a situation where he would be arrested. Hmm? You can't tell me he's never been pulled over and discovered that he was driving while under the influence or something. Something tells me he's been pulled over quite a few times. He's been near arrest countless times. And because of who his father was, he was never required to suffer any of the consequences. I bet you he doesn't have an arrest record. It's squeaky clean. But you can't tell me, with all the amount of dope he was doing over the years, there was never a situation that presented itself where he rightfully should have been locked up. Thus is how and why he stated, I can do anything in California and get away with it, because he's done countless shit and got away with it countless times. I wonder if any of it is recorded in the courts. I wonder. The district attorney should be able to find that out, right? That should be in the discovery. I mean, he trashed his own guest house 3 times. No arrest for that. If I would have ever trashed my mama's house, or if we were uber rich like the Reiners, and I was living in the guest house and trashed that, my black ass would have, look, she'd have sent me to jail. And rightfully so. But not in the Reiner household. And even today, with Nick sitting in jail wearing a turtle suit, you know, that heavy suit they give you when, they trying to keep you safe and uh, prevent you from committing suicide. Call it a turtle suit. But he's still being coddled and protected by the family. Well, how so, Madam Whip-Ass? Does he not have, like, the best attorney in the country right now? Attorney Alan Jackson? And I'm sure with his drugged out mind, he had no idea who Alan Jackson was. You know, the next of kin, I believe, would be the oldest brother, Jake, in terms of dealing with the estate of the parents and things of that nature. It had to be Jake. I would say Jake's decision to get Nick an attorney. The best attorney at that. Still, Nick has slaughtered their parents. And yet they still think it requires him to have the best of everything. And so, even though he's in deep doo-doo, and it's apparent that he committed this crime, it's evident, actually. You know, there's no way he can plead and say not guilty, and it becomes like a who done it. That's not going to happen. It's clear that he committed these murders. So you try to make the best out of a horrible situation for Nick if you're the family. Well, what can we do to soften the blow, to give him a soft cushion landing in this tragedy? Well, the best we can do is try to make sure he doesn't end up in San Quentin prison, but perhaps he can go to a country club prison and serve out his years, where he'll be comfortable and he'll be able to go horseback riding. And he won't live in the cell. He'll have a nice apartment. He just can't leave the property for several years. And then perhaps we'll be able to pick him up and take him on outings and bring him back. So I don't get what's with this family. And yes, I'm saying the family hired the attorney. I mean, apparently, according to the attorney, you know, he's been out of his head with schizophrenia. So how is it he knows, I better call Alan Jackson? His family is obviously doing this. And to be honest with you, when I think about it, it's really pissing me off. At what point do you let Nick suffer consequences for his actions and behaviors? It has never happened. Y'all have never allowed him to do that. I bet he has no arrest record. And I bet he's done a whole bunch of shit that required that he does have one, but he doesn't because he's been coddled. And he's still being coddled. At what point do you let this man deal wherever these chips fall? Attorney Alan Jackson, that's not no cheap attorney. I imagine Nick's defense is going to cost about maybe a good $10 million. And he's worth $10 million after he stabs your parents to death, the very parents who did nothing but love him and deal with his behavior and crap for 17 years. Like, what is that? 302 months or 202 months? I mean, I don't get it, y'all. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I don't understand it. Maybe somebody can come in the comment section and explain this to me, because I know the majority of you, if your sibling slaughtered your parents after years of them doing everything they can to help him out of the love that they had for him being their child, and you knew they loved you just as much, would you pay for an attorney for him? And I'm not even going to sit here and feel as if, I'm a cold-hearted person, because I'm not. But I bet you my sibling will have a public defender. I don't care if $10 million is like 10 cents to me. He will have a public, or she will have a public defender. But maybe the Reiners are better people than I'll ever be. Maybe that's what it is. Nah, that's bullshit. Nah, nah, nah. The parents, they should have been more like me, because had they been more like me, they'd still be alive today. And as far as Nick, it would be two outcomes for him. Either he would have got his shit together and got his life together, or he'd be 6 feet under. And I would not take credit for either of those outcomes. Whether he turned his life around and became somebody, he would deserve all that credit. And if it turned out that he ended up 6 feet under, he would deserve credit for that too, all of it. But hey, that's just me. Hello, I just see new names here. Hi, hi. Val Pineda. Hello, hello. And Black Phenomenalist Melissa Hurley. Shirley? Yeah, hi. Hola. Lacey, hello. Dragon Nuts 69, really? Ugh. Honey Bun, how you doing? Let me see if there's anything else I want to address. Another thing that kind of bothers me is that I keep hearing people, and I mean, you know, podcasters, um, news people, they keep referring to Nick as a kid. He's a grown ass 32-year-old man. Nick Reiner is 32 years old. There's no such thing as a 32-year-old kid or a 32-year-old child. And getting back to the schizophrenia thing, I had to call a good friend of mine who's a licensed clinician and talk to her about this schizophrenia thing and Nick Reiner. And she said, yes, schizophrenia is genetic, but she also said people who do using substances, doing drugs, and if they enter into psychosis, that can form schizophrenia. So some people can develop schizophrenia by being in a drug psychosis. Hmm. So they want to say, meaning his attorney, or from what I'm hearing from TMZ, I should even say his attorney. TMZ had been reporting, or was the first to report, that Nick had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Here's my thing. I can't look. You've got to be in a maniacal frenzy to butcher two people, period, let alone your mother and your father, and slit their throats. There were multiple stab wounds. I imagine there was blood all over the place. I imagine he stepped all in their blood as he was leaving the house when he was done. I bet you there was his bloody footprints from the sole of his sneakers that was showing you exactly where he went. Did he go out the door and to the left to the guest house? Or did he go out the door and make a right to go through the gate? Who knows? But you got, if you're claiming that he was in having a schizophrenic episode, I just can't see when we see the video of him inside the mini mart at the gas station. When we see him on video walking past another gas station, as calm as he was. But let's get back to the video when he's in the store. Did you notice a police officer came in the store and walked by him? Did you notice how Nick kind of started shifting around and he looked around to see what the cop was doing? The cop just walked in the store and was going to get him something to drink because he was thirsty. And then you see Nick kind of shifting from foot to foot, leg to leg, while he's waiting to pay for his drink. So he pays for his drink and he exits the mini mart, walks across the street or somewhat, and then the cops really do pull up on him and arrest him. But when you're out of your head, as it's been stated prior to the murders, that Nick had been out of his head, I would think if you were out of your head and you did what you did to your parents, and then you see a cop, you should really be paranoid and be out of your head that very moment. But he's not out of his head if he knows to wait patiently to pay for his drink. And when they caught him, he was around a very known uh, drug area where you go and purchase meth and stuff. He wasn't out of his head going to get some drugs and get high, because I believe that's what he was doing. That's where he was going. I mean, how do you slaughter your parents, but then you have the right present state of mind to go to a hotel and book it with your credit card? I mean, the schizophrenia defense, I don't think that's going to fly. What I do think he was diagnosed with, and he could very well have schizophrenia, but I really believe that he's diagnosed with an antisocial personality disorder. And again, his behaviors seem more in line with him being a psychopath than living with schizophrenia. But that's just my theory, my opinion. We shall see. We shall see. Perhaps, I'm sure more information will be divulged this week. I'm waiting for the autopsy report. I'm curious what was discovered in that at the scene of the crime and at the hotel. I want to know what was in that red backpack that Nick was carrying. Was a murder weapon in there? What was in there? When he was arrested, did they find drug paraphernalia on him, like a pipe or something? You know? Did he have like a residue or just a little bit of meth left, or of any type of drug in his pocket or in that red backpack? That crime scene, people say, you know, a dead man tells no tales. That's a damn lie. Dead people talk all the time in a crime scene. Dead people tell you everything in a crime scene. They'll tell you how long they've been dead without even talking. But they'll tell you. They'll tell you who died first. Yes, Rob and his wife, they going to tell us who was killed first. They going to tell us how long they've been dead. Like what hour they were murdered. They going to tell you what wound was the fatal wound. They're going to answer a lot of questions. And I want to know. That's all for now. Thank you. And I'll catch up with you later. Peace.